Good morning, church. My hopes and prayers are that things are going well with you and your loved ones. We appreciate your prayers for us. It's kind of funny because even though everything has slowed down for us in terms of the church, somehow myself and the rest of our staff find ourselves busy pretty much of the time because we're handling so many other things via the internet, even our own meetings with each other over Zoom and other mediums. So we're able to keep on working on a lot of projects, and hopefully, most importantly, that we can continue to reach out to you and connect with you in a meaningful and helpful way. Saying that, there are a couple of passages of scripture I want to touch on this morning. One of them I mentioned a couple of days ago in Ephesians 5:16, where Paul makes a statement: "Make the most of your time, because the days are evil." And then the second is in Colossians 4:5, where Paul again says, "Conduct yourselves with wisdom toward outsiders, making the most of the opportunity." I really appreciate the King James translation of Ephesians 5 where he said, "Let us redeem the time." I like that phrase, redeem, because it implies that even though we may have wasted time in the past, God gives us this divine capacity to recapture what's lost and turn it into something that's good. In fact, I often say that probably my favorite name for God is Redeemer, because as I look at my life, I see so many wasted opportunities and times. And it's comforting to know that God has the ability to make up that time. After all, He is the God of time and space. And so I don't have to make sure that I never miss or waste a single moment, because I know that God will forgive me, but more than that, He will also redeem that time and enable it to have the impact that He wants it to have through my life. Part of the question is, how do we apply this to our lives? And I want to try to get a little bit more practical than I have maybe in the past, because the answer of how we go about this is going to be different for every one of us. I mean, if you're a single parent, you may be in a place of saying, "You don't get it. I have no time." And all I can say is, yeah, I kind of get it. And we're praying for you. We're praying that God would really give you grace and strength through this time. You've often heard me say that if you're a parent of small children, you only have one emotion, and that's called fatigue. And so we're not insensitive to that. We want to pray that God will really meet you in this moment that you're going through, and He'll hopefully bring people around you that can hold your arms up and minister to your kids and give you a break. With those of you who are married with children, you find that that's a challenge. And how do you keep your kids engaged and involved? But I think the exciting thing is you might have the opportunity to begin to build devotional time with your kids. I know that one of my sons was telling me how that they've just started every morning at 9 o'clock having a short devotional and prayer time with their kids. And I do put the emphasis upon short, because the younger they are, the less time you have to commit to this. But it was interesting because this is something that is hard for them to maintain because of their work schedules. Now, with both of them home most of the time, they can begin to make this a regular part of their life, a regular discipline. And it's interesting because the kids love it, because if nothing else, they're having time, individual time with their family and with one another. This is how we build the concept of family loyalty and support for one another. There are those of us who may be married who are without children. That's a whole different story. But then we have those who are single and alone. And most importantly, we have those of you who are unemployed. And if you're going through this time of a drop off in your income in particular, there is good news. At least I hear that there's stimulus money that's been coming from the government. But even beyond that, you find yourself being so accustomed to being busy and doing things that you kind of cast about to, what do you do with yourself? And unfortunately, many of us are finding all sorts of ways to get into ourselves instead of giving ourselves away to other people. I mean, you can spend a lot of time doing video games or watching movies or TV and things of that nature. I don't know about you, but after a while, my brain begins to hurt if I do that too much. I can't stand it. And if you're limited in your outside exercise, that even makes it worse. So maybe part of this dynamic is just simply to exhort everybody to get outside, take a walk, regardless of the weather. Somehow that fresh air is really good for your head. It clears your thoughts. And it gives you a chance to really kind of think more clearly about important issues or things that are weighing heavily upon your heart. For me personally, my walks a lot of times turn into prayer walks. As I'm walking around my neighborhood, just trying to get my circulation going and my body from decaying, I spend it really talking to God about the things that are weighing heavy upon my heart and are great concerns. And that's the wonderful thing about God. There isn't any particular posture or position or place. You can pray anywhere at any time to God in the most conversational tone. And there doesn't even have to be a liturgical format to how you pray. It's just speaking right out of your heart. But I want to add one more practical dynamic that I think can be helpful for all of us, and that's basically to use the opportunity to reach out to others. Again, we shouldn't be making a lot of physical contact or getting it any closer than that social 6 feet barrier that we're supposed to maintain around us. But there are many ways in which we can connect with people, and of course we know what they are. You can call somebody on the phone, you can email them, you can Twitter, you can Facebook, you can Snapchat, Instagram. There's all sorts of ways of texting each other and so forth that you can just connect and touch other people's lives. One of the things I've asked my staff to endeavor to do is to really kind of make a list of those people who are key partners in their area of ministry. Just take a point that at least once a week to connect with them in one of these ways and to really ask those people 3 simple questions. And I would recommend these questions to you as well. Number 1, to simply say, how are you doing? I mean, and I put the emphasis on you because it's not so much you calling them and telling them how you're doing and things are going in your life. We can sometimes fall into that trap. We call somebody and we begin to complain about our difficulties. It's really a time to be a listener, not a speaker. It's a time to say, how are you doing? And really kind of press that down and saying, no, really, how are things going? Are there things that are really difficult for you right this time? And that's really where the second part comes, where you can say, how can I pray for you? And particularly as somebody shares burdens and concerns, to pray with them right then on the phone. Not to say, well, I'll pray for you and then hang up, but really to say, let me pray for you right now. Because again, that is powerful because it's 2 or more agreeing. Remember, Jesus said 2 or more agree on touching any one thing and you'll have what you have asked the Father for. So agree with them in prayer over the phone and make a difference in their life. And then last of all, just ask him, is there any other way that I can be of help to you? And that's where you might find out that somebody is ill and they can't go shopping, or they just are missing something, or something's broken in their house. There's a number of ways in which we can help out without having to actually break the isolation that we're supposed to be in, but at the same time addressing things that are critically important for other people. In fact, if you have extra income, you might be able to actually help schedule a repairman to come and fix something that's vital to the welfare, health, and safety of the people that you're connecting with. These are just some ideas, and I don't want to sound like I'm dictating what we should do, but I think that we have an opportunity to build a community and a connection within our church that's far stronger than anything we've ever had in the past. Simply because we're beginning to adopt a new way of functioning amongst ourselves. You come to church, everybody walks in, they're all smiling, they're all spiffed up and cleaned up and wearing their best, and they look good, and they seem like they don't have a problem in the world. But the truth of the matter is that if you were to go home with them and walk with them through their life for a few hours, you'd find out that they have really the same kind of troubles and struggles and battles that you have. And the best way to unload and unburden your own heart is to get out of your own head and get into somebody else's by just sharing the love of Christ in this time that they're going through struggles and hardship. So these are some points that I hope will be helpful for you. And unlike you, I pray that our president was correct, that we can be together on Easter Sunday. But then again, whatever God wills, there's a work he's doing in the world, there's a work he's doing in us, and let's not short circuit that. Let's see it go to its full extent, that he might accomplish his greatest glory and our best good. So God bless you, and go in his grace.